All right, welcome to Work World Writing, a video series dedicated to people that hate to write but have to write. Often I'll get my students to send me articles that they find are interesting, and one article a student sent in was this article from in National Geographic about the Gobi bear. It's a really rare bear. There's fewer than 3 dozen, and they live in a desert in Mongolia. And it's a really long article. I usually ask for, around a page so I can work with it. But anyway, it was just a great article. It got pictures, and here's the desert. It's a pretty bleak place to live, hard for them to survive. And lots of interesting writing, great word choice. And it's just a really good sample of the kind of writing that I want my students to produce. So what I did is I took this article and I brought it into a Google document, and I stripped out all the pictures and videos and advertisements and just to take a look at the writing, and it turned out to be, an 8-page document, which is a nice sample of writing. I went further, and I was interested in the sentences in particular, and I started to keep track of how many words were in each sentence, and I made a table out of it. And so here's what I found, that there were some sentences that were only 2 words long, and that happened twice, and then some sentences were 3 words, and that happened twice, and 4-word sentences, and that happened 3 times, and so on and so forth. 14-word sentence was the most common, and then 15 was 11. So somewhere in the middle, around 14, 15, 16, you've got quite a few. But right up to 40-word sentences, and that happened once, and 39 happened once, for a total of 184 sentences. So I here made a graph, and we can notice here that the sentences in the middle, like I said, around 14, 15, 16, 17, they're the most common. And then I averaged them all together, and I got 17 and a half was the average sentence, words per sentence length. And I show this to my students every year. Like, if this is the kind of writing I want to produce, I should be thinking about sentences that are, 14, 15, 16, 17 words long. Doesn't mean every sentence is going to be that long. I'm going to have a variety, but if I want to write for an audience that spans such a large, area from grade 7 till 100 years old, I'm going to focus on this kind of sentence length. I went and grabbed a textbook off my shelf and looked in it, and the author there said that if you have a sentence that's 8 words long, you're going to have 100% comprehension, or at least that's the goal. 15 words gets you to 90%, 19 is 80%, and 28 words, you're all the way down to 50%. And that sounds interesting, but it doesn't really make sense until you actually start to count words and sentences. So if I just highlight just this top row even, and count the words in there, there's 15 words right there. Same thing in the second row here, same idea. I got another 15 words in the second row, and in the third row here, I've got up 18 words, and so it just gives you an idea and a good strategy actually to highlight other, professional writers, but to highlight your own writing. So after I'm finished with some of my sentences, I'm going to come by and just highlight my sentence. And as soon as I highlight this first sentence, I realize I'm already over that 14, 15 mark if I can highlight a line and a half. If I'm typing at size 12 font, there's a real good chance that I'm already over, 14, 15 words. So go to my next sentence and highlight away. And it's not like I'm solving grammar problems, but I'm actually learning to be respectful of my reader. I want to produce writing so that my reader can understand it the first time, and this is a respectful way to do it, is just to watch my sentence length, make sure that I'm not putting in sentences that are too complex, just out of respect. It's not like a textbook told me to do it. It just makes sense in the real world. And again, if I highlight, just for example, let's say my sentence in my own writing was this long, I should say to myself, oh wow, I should double check this. Maybe I could make 2 sentences out of this, and I'm not, it's going to be hard for my reader to understand that. And already I'm starting to eradicate a run-on sentence, for example, without even talking about what a run-on sentence is. I don't have to pull out a rule book or teach someone what it means to have a run-on sentence. Just physically highlighting my sentences and keeping them as short as I can, out of respect for the reader, is sometimes going to eradicate some of those big problems in writing, like run-on sentences. So this is a great tip I use for my students. I tell them, if you call me over to read your writing, I am going to come by and highlight your sentences. And if I find sentences that are super long like this, I'm going to challenge you on it. Did you highlight it? Did you realize that it was that long? Is this what you want? Do you think you could break it up at all to help the reader understand it better? And I get to have a real conversation with them about their writing just by using an easy tool like highlighting. Thanks for listening. More to come.